Today we begin a new hymn, quite a difficult one actually. Hymn 2 of the Mandala 3, Vishwamitra. So it's also a longish hymn, 15 trishtups. So let me start with mantra. Om Vang me manasi pratishthitam mano me vachi pratishthitam aviravirma edi vedasyama anistha shrutam me ma prahasihi anena dhitena horatran samdadhami ritam vadishyami satyam vadishyami tanmamavatu tadvaktaramavatu avatu mam avatu vaktaram avatu vaktaram. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Vaishvanaraya Deshanam Ritavridhe Ghritam Naputam Agnaye Janamasi Dvita Hotaram Manushascha Vaghato Dhiya Rathamna Kulishach Samrinvati. We create an understanding, Deshanam, like pure light, Ghritamna, for the fire, Agnaye, that makes the truth to grow, Ritavridhe, for the universal Godhead, Vaishvanaraya. The priests of the word, Vaghatach, fashioned twofold by the thought of the human being, Manushascha Dvita Dhiya. This priest of the call, Hotaram, Agni is Prahotar, as the soul carves a chariot, Rathamna Kulishach Samrinvati, I join him into a whole, Samrinvati. Interesting, Rinvati, Samrinvati, kind of dynamically coming together with, yeah? Or also could be carving, yeah? Carving fully as the axe or the saw carves the chariot, as the carpenter makes the chariot, with all the parts, so I join the hotar. So it's a complex text, not easy to really read. I was kind of spending quite some time to really figure out what it is here. For Agni, the universal Godhead that makes the dynamic truth grow, we generate the purified luminosity of our mind, Ghritam Putam, and the word that offers our delight, Deshanam. Interestingly, I will explain why I translate the word that offers our delight and the luminosity of our mind, purity of luminosity of our mind, or luminosity of our mind purified. The priests with the higher concentration, Vaghatach Dhiya, from thinking and speaking, Bhagataha, speaking, Manushach, from thinking and speaking, fashion the samana, Hotaram, of the gods. Because Hotar is the samana of the gods, as the axe cuts out the chariot, carves out the chariot. So the priests fashion in the same manner as the carpenter carves the chariot, the hymn or the samana of the gods. They carve with two powers of the mind and word. These mind and word we have everywhere. This is the foundation of all the knowledge of the Vedas. And even this mantra invocation is about these two. Vang me manasi pratishtita, my word is established in my mind. Mano me vachi pratishtitam, and my mind is established in my word. In the later Brahmanic literature we have this mind and word as heaven and earth. Mind is heaven, earth is word. And these two, father and mother, heaven and earth, mind and word, produce something. And that production is in between them, yes, that antariksha, that space in between. O praja, praja is the offspring. So this mind and word produce every possible experience. Mind is observing the word and catching the meaning of it, yeah? And the word is producing here in the manifested world the articulation or expression of that inner meaning. And once these two are connected, the sacrifice is fulfilled. Sacrifice is about connecting heaven and earth, or connecting the meaning, mind, and the word, artha and shabda. The word, the expression of consciousness, and the meaning of it have to come together. And this is the sacrifice. Actually, there is no other sacrifice, only these two. They are, in other words, they are called two mothers of the fire, of the flame. Or they are the two rhodases, two luminous firmaments, foundations. Or they are these aranis, two pieces of wood which, when they're with their friction, they generate the flame within. The whole mythology, the whole psychology is rotating around these two, speech and word and mind. And that's why there are even mentions there, Manushach, from the mind, in Vaghatach, from the pronouncing the word. We spoke about this in terms of, in connection to the Svadhyaya, you remember. The Svadhyaya is the major practice of Vedic religion. It means that you, knowing text perfectly by heart, read it to yourself in the isolated space. It's not reading to others, it's not a drama, it's not a theater, it's not something like you have to inspire others, you know. You read it to yourself. When nobody watches you, and you don't have to perform anything, and, you know, you just read to your own awareness. So the mind becomes the witness of the word which you know perfectly by heart. Mind is not participating actively in its formulation of the word, because the word is already flowing by itself, but the mind is collecting the honey of the meaning. Yeah. And that honey of the meaning is always insightful. It gives you a new insight into the nature of the universe, into new insight into the nature of yourself. And that is the experience. We suddenly feel something else, the presence. We feel the presence of the Spirit in us. So the Spirit enters, is born by this mind and word. But there is a technique. One thing is to read to the others, to show off. Other is to read to yourself and to observe the flowing of the meaning without interfering. This is an important thing. Without modulating, without inquiring, without being active. So staying perceptive, totally perceptive, and so kind of gather the meaning which is flowing to you. Only that which is coming to you, just take it. Because you can't take all the meaning. You will have only partially awareness of one part of it. That's why the same text, when we read perfectly by heart to ourselves, we gather always a new meaning. Because it cannot be exhausted. In this moment of time and space, it is important to gather this part, or this view, or this perspective. And that adds to our, so to say, experience. Spiritual experience. And this is the way how the whole Indian civilization was built. This is the major characteristic of Indian civilization, which operated by the word. You read the word, the expression of higher consciousness to yourself and get the experience. And nothing else is needed, actually. No beating around the bush, no going around and making something physical or vital or artistic or whatever. It wasn't important. What was important is the expression of the higher consciousness and experiencing it because you observe the meaning. So in this way, Sayana explains this how Swadhyaya is maintained. It is by reading the word and getting the meaning of it. So one part is reading, other part is getting the meaning. And if meaning is not gotten, there is no sacrifice. There is no experience. The meaning has to be perceived, has to be recognized. That's why we need to know language. It's a good news for those who study Sanskrit. So one day, by reading the text, you will gather the meaning. And in silent space, without interference, there will be something like an experience coming. By the way, this is the major, psychological framework of every individual. And not only in the form of reading the text to yourself, spiritual text, but also reading any book. When we read the books, we get the experience. How? The word and the mind. They give us the experience. We read and laugh and cry and what is happening to us? That is the experience on the vital level. All the emotions. I was joking about when we were in the Soviet Union, we loved Indian movies, Indian films, And when we go to this Indian theater, to the theater to watch some Indian movie, when we come out, you can see everybody is with tears and makeup is all over the face. What has happened to people? Why? They were just watching movie. But they were watching the word and they perceived the meaning of it in their mind, and that generated the experience, the vital experience. And many times I used to say that I didn't have greater experiences in my life than reading Ramayana, for example. Ramayana was the purest of the spiritual enjoyments I ever had. Yes, when you arrive at understanding of what is really going on, yeah, and it is in every word, in every turn of the thought. It is so subtle, it is so full of soma, delight. Yeah? This delight you can't get in your life. There is no such delight for you directly, because your life is very primitive in comparison to that of Rama. So that's why we have to come to the text. These are the texts left for us to generate in us the spiritual experience. The same with other texts, Bible and so on, but Bible has different symbolism. It's interesting. Here is a direct kind of influence. We invoke the flame. The symbolism is very transparent if you have the keys. In the Bible, it's codified differently. It's a Kabbalistic codification. The outer text hardly bears the meaning. I mean the Old Testament, not the new one. The new one is different. But the Moses, the creation by Moses, he codified his knowledge through Kabbalistic. If you know Kabbalah, if you know Hebrew very well, then you will be able to read another meaning into the text. It's for those initiated behind. But Veda was given to all. Take it, here it is, if you can crack it. It's crackable. There is no other symbolism behind it. It's not saying something which you have to decodify through the system of Tarot or Kabbalah, through Arcanum's system. Each letter belongs to one particular order, and behind each letter there is a law of existence. So if you combine them together, you will get an insight into the nature of that entity. All the names are sacred and codified. Yahweh, Jehovah. If you read this name, Yod He Vav He, you will see this is the rotation of the Father and Son and the Holy Spirit in a way. And very interestingly built. Kabbalah explains all these things. But when you read simply the text, you will not see it. So everywhere in the Veda you will see these two, Manas and Vak. Here, Manushascha, Vaghatach, even in the hidden form. But these two will be always there. The mind and the word. The meaning and the word and the sound, Shabda, and Artha, or Artha and Vak. This is the biggest also topic for linguistics. That's why I kind of was diving into it, because the whole general linguistics is built on one particular problem of the relation of the meaning and the word. Why the word carries that meaning, what it has to do with that meaning, and what is the meaning actually. The greatest puzzle of all, what is the meaning? What do you think? What is meaning? I can hear very interesting thoughts always. These are profound questions. What is the word and what is the meaning of the word? We are dealing only with words sitting here and doing wording, trying to get to some meaning. Do we try to get to the meaning? Or maybe we try to get to some experience by combining words and meanings.
Vladimir, can you frame your question a little
Okay.
more simply?
What is the relation between Artha and Shabda, or Artha and Vak? The meaning in the word. I was saying already all of it before, but for you, what are we doing when we are gathering and discussing and trying to get to the text?
For me, it's the word resonates. Something you say and suddenly I have that aha moment, and something lights up inside.
Interesting. Aha moment. Aha moment is actually that's what is known in the Indian tradition as spota. Spota is a revelation, an opening, outburst of something. It bursts out. The meaning bursts out. Suddenly there's another kind of dimension to our life. There was nothing before, and then boom, we have this lightning. Aha. Why that aha comes now? What it has to do with me? Wasn't I somebody else before, now I'm somebody else now? What is the difference between the previous person and this with the aha moment? So this is all deep, profound psychology of Indian tradition. They build it on the word. That's why even till, 1,500 or 2,000 at least years before, there were hardly any temples. Temples are not so important. Really. The temples came later. There were Vedis, there were altars. The altars were nearly like temples, very sophisticated. But before even that, there were no altars. There was only Svadhyaya, the word, and the meaning of the word, bringing higher consciousness into action. And then everything becomes sacred. That is the sacrifice. Whatever you see, do, say, feel is sacred, because it is charged with the Spirit. That's why we read Sri Aurobindo, that's why we read Savitri, we know poems by heart, we read these poems to ourselves to highlight something in us or to uplift our spirit. I even noticed a very interesting thing, that when you are down, psychologically down, or something, and you indulge in that, psychological a low state, like you start pity yourself, or you enjoy the suffering and misery. When you enjoy that, and you want to continue to enjoy a bit, and then some part in you says, okay, it's enough, get out of it. So read something, and you take the text and you can't read it. Interesting. You cannot read. I couldn't read Ramayana when I was in that kind of semi-dark state which I wanted to indulge in, because it was removing it, and I wanted to keep it a bit longer. Some part in me resisted and wanted, no, wait a minute, we have to still finish this business. Don't go away. So the text is it cures you, really cures. One page of Ramayana will cure all misery. Just read it through, with meaning, of course. And you will be surprised. Where is all that? What I was suffering? Suffering disappears. Like by magic wand. Yes, Kinshuk.
I just have one thought to share
Mm.
that when we want to study something, say even technology, really something very complicated and something which really needs intelligence, one of the things that happens is you have to be, first of all, a very good person. Because if you do not have that goodness within you, extremely subtle things are very difficult to understand. So I have observed this thing in many people, that first they are good and then they are really, that subtle level of intelligence comes in. Otherwise, it's not possible. Just a thought that I just wanted to say.
Very interesting. Basically, you say the same, only from another angle looking at this, you have your own kind of explanation of this. Goodness. Goodness means it's a goodwill. If you have a goodwill, you can really see things better, really better. If you don't have goodwill, you are very determined to see them in your own very narrow perspective, and that narrowness does not allow you to see things. Mm-hmm.
Kinshuk, thank you for that, because this question was there when I entered the session about intent. How does it connect with everything? Because you have the word that you speak, and then there is the intent at a higher level. There must be layers of it, I suppose, like before it becomes the word. And whether this is connected to the mother's 4 aspects, Maheshwari, Mahakali, ultimately to Mahasaraswati.
Well, that is your reaching too high for us to the transcendental. Of course, everything has to do with that. But even on the lower level, if you look at this, because you bring in intention, which truly speaking, we didn't discuss in our Svadhyaya. It is the intention. It is this aha movement of Pashyanti Vaki, is that lightning which gives you a certain angle, a certain perspective on your view on the world, which is unique in this moment of time. And that formulates your views, your actions, your attitude, everything. Your psychology in that moment of time, it modifies it. So that intention is actually what the word brings. The word is not just here on the lower level. The word is the messenger. It is the word. At the beginning was the word. And it was with God. And it was God, actually. Until he traveled down. And this traveling down is described actually in the Bible, in the John's testimony. Yes, it traveled down and it became what? The flesh. It became the embodiment, the intention of the divine, the will, the logos. Yes, formulated a particular embodiment, and that's what we are looking at. The word as the earth, as something which became the flesh, the body. And through this body, there is constantly the word is coming and rebuilding the world and the body, and the whole evolution is taking place through these intentions falling upon us, from above, like the rain. Like the blissful rain of grace. We are catching here and there some drops and embody them. Sometimes a lot of light coming from above and we catch nothing because we are too much preoccupied with our small things. But it is always there. The grace is always there. if we open up to it, it will be there for us in abundance. It's up to us whether to open to grace or not. It's only up to us, not up to the grace.
I think, Vladimir, what you said was very important. The key word is when we open up. The main thing's to open up. And that's when you, grace, guidance, everything comes pouring in.
Yeah.
And you can experience that in moments of your life when there is anger, especially. At once if you step back, if you're practicing and knowing the 12 qualities of the mother, at least for me, something makes you step back and view it and say it's not important. You have to follow the path, and it only happens when you're open. Only then.
And you can't stay open all the time because we inherited the habits of the lower nature and being operated by subconscious instincts and movements and fears and you name it. And there are many, many other creatures which try to get in with this particular lower management of nature. And staying open for a while even like cures you for a moment, and then then you become again whatever you've been, but already with certain modification. You have a little modification, and these drops coming more and more and more, and we change. Invisibly change. And then we pass it to our future generations, to our children, grandchildren. We pass it to our neighbors, to our friends, through epigenetic influence, because our thoughts, our vibrations, our words, they have influence, whether we want it or not.
I had read somewhere that our highest evolution in the body is not the brain, but it is the voice box, the organs of speech. And that is very interesting because the organs of speech developed only about, they say, about 40,000 years ago to their present levels. So, but the mind developed much before that.
Yeah, if you see, the animals have huge brains. They have also their own speech way to speak with the body, with sounds, with signs, with, body language. The doggy coming. They speak through the body, but they don't speak through the vocal cords much. Some of them, of course, try. The doggies can sing like anything. But it is not the same. It's not an articulated and clearly demarcated
Speech.
Yes. The sounds in combination with which we can, just by speech, generate the abstract meanings, higher meanings. Yeah? These are not available for animal kingdom. They have a mind of perception, not a mind of conception. They don't deal with concepts, with ideas, with presence. They feel the presence, but differently. For them it is a natural way of being. For us, we want to go higher or deeper. And that is what our mind is for. Well, this is an interesting discussion anyhow. The word and the mind. So the word brings the intention. Why do I say what I say in this moment of time? Because there's something there in me coming as a flash or lightning or aha moment that I have to say this. I was ready to go to the next verse, and then this thing came and stopped me to go straight to the next verse. And I had to add this, yes, that this aha moment is something which we want to communicate. A word is always a message. It's a message. It's something which I want. What is your message? What is your purpose, of saying anything? Many people speak for the pleasure of speaking without any message, just to, to enjoy the reality which they create by the word. But even in that, there is some message. And if we can read the message in the word, the intention of speech, then we will understand much better ourselves and people and everything else. In every sentence there is a message. But it is not what it says. It is rather what it wants to say. And many times the speaker cannot really fully express what he wants to say. So he is lost in the words, or saying something secondary or something unimportant, but his message is different. And if he can read the presumption, in our studies, or in the university, we had the special course in our linguistic department, special course which was called Presumption in Text. It is an amazing course. I benefited from it mostly, yes, in my university. It is about not what you say, but what you want to say. The meaning is there. It is hiding there. It's everywhere, in every simplest situation. And one of the situations was given to us is that the teacher comes to the class and says, for example, I don't know, Selby will go to Chennai today. What does he say, really? What does he want to say? The first meaning is, yes, Selby will go to Chennai today. Yeah, this is it. What else is there? But there's so much more there. Hidden, presumed, presupposition. Class is sitting, teacher is coming and says Selby is going to Chennai today. What else is the meaning? Let's gather the meaning, and then we will understand how the word works.
The meaning is that Selby will not be in class today.
Excellent. 1. Selby will not be in class today. She has to leave right now. Okay. Then I will get all of them.
There is some reason why she must go to Chennai.
Yes, there is some reason, and that reason is one reason that she has to go and that the teacher wants her to go. And there is something more. He says this to the whole class. That Selby will go to Chennai today.
The imperative command.
Right, this is a command also. But what is the meaning? Else.
Is she representing more than herself? Is she going for the class? For the teacher?
For the teacher, for the class, even that the class knew about the choice to be made. The class knew about the choice to be made, that somebody will go, maybe Selby, maybe somebody else, but now it's decided Selby will go because otherwise teacher would not say this to the class the way he said. So everybody knew that the choice will be made, and now choice falls on Selby going there. So there was something before all this which everybody knows. So the simple phrase has such a big presumption or presupposition. and somebody else will not go. Yeah? Kinshuk will not go. Kinshuk thought he would go, but now he knows, and everybody knows. We do not know, but in the class there are many more connections, meaningful connections. And why Selby was chosen? Because it's preferable, maybe not even for the teacher, but the class master or someone, schoolmaster wants Selby to go because they have good relations with their parents, and all the rest, which we do not see, but it is there. And even more, and this is only Mahapashyanti. So there is Pashyanti, this flesh, Selby will go, came to this Vaikari expression, but there is more, Mahapashyanti, that there was a choice, there was a discussion, there was finally a decision made that Selby will go. This is Mahapashyanti, wider range of meanings, and there is even wider range of meanings. Selby will go to Chennai to do something which is needed for something, which will be needing for something, and this is even greater, which we don't see anymore, and even greater, something even beyond that. So if we start analyzing simple things like why the person tells you something, he comes to your life and tells you something. There is a meaning in it for you, which you don't see, but you have to discover it. Nothing is there by chance or casual. Or everything has its deeper meaning. And if you see it, the word becomes a creative power. You don't speak the words in vain anymore. You keep them for pure messages, intentions, and read them in others also. Sometimes people cannot tell you clearly, but you read the intention. He complains about your boss, but his intention is different. He is miserable in some relations, or he needs some kind of upliftment. His spirit is down. He is struggling with health, with habits. You just have to read all that. Of course, one should not impose on the person extra troubles, but if you can see that and identify with that, that is a goodwill, what Kinshuk was saying. Instead of criticizing, you see with your goodness, you see the way out. And you support the person instead of, for his criticism, hating him, you just come with love and find that what the person is looking for. That seed is there of the truth. That has to be found. All right, now I kind of exhausted the topic. Of course, there is the mother speaking about conversations, how we converse in the wrong way because we hear only in the context of our own. This also has to be taken into account. You have to see it in the context of the speaker if you have a good will. So, because the speaker tells you from his own context, and you take his words into your own, and that's why you misunderstand. We misunderstand context constantly because we are not really rising above to see a vaster context or that presupposition. We have to see it. So the person speaks, for that he's looking for. Now I understand. And if you support that, the person will be totally on your side, yes? He will be happy because you found that he could not express. All right. Sarocheya janusha rodasi ubhe samatrocha bhavat putra iriyach avyavach agnir ajarach chanohito dulabhu visham atithich vibhavasuch. Sarocheya janusha rodasi ubhe samatroch Samata rocha bhavat putra idiyach. You see the construction. Avyavad Agnir Ajarach Chanohitach Dulabho Visham Atithich Vibhavasu. Dulabho Visham Atithich Vibhavasu. This is the rhythm. He from his birth illumined both the firmaments. Firmaments, this we mentioned before. He became the desirable son of the father and mother, the ageless and inviolable fire firmly founded in bliss. With his reaches of the light is the carrier of offering and the guest of the peoples. Text is really a bit difficult. But if we know what these two firmaments, this heaven and earth, meaning and word, which generate all experiences in us, then it becomes something kind of catchable. And by his birth, he illumines both the firmaments, becoming a beloved son of both mothers. I'm translating both mothers. Sri Aurobindo translates matroch from matri, is dual case, genitive, och, yes, marutoch, matroch, of two mothers, literally. I leave two mothers because Sri Aurobindo explains that when the heaven and earth are taken in terms of mental and physical consciousness, they are mentioned as two mothers in other places. So I kind of leave two mothers, following Sri Aurobindo, as two major foundations, mental and physical. Heaven and earth. So he becomes the beloved son, the one who connects heaven and earth. You remember in our presentation on the Prashna Upanishad, there was a kind of my drawing where the heaven and earth split. Then there was sun on one side, fire on the other, and wind in between. So this fire, Vayu, and Aditya, these three, fire, wind, and sun, are three fires actually. And these three fires in between have to be joining. Once these energies join, the sacrifice is fulfilled. So Agni has to connect heaven and earth and space in between. The energy in between has to connect all of them. It has to be born and connect. So here this Matrocha Bhavat Putra Idiyach, he became the beloved son, the most adorable son of heaven and earth, of physical and mental consciousness, of two mothers. The two mothers are also known as the dawn and the night, the day and night. Yeah? In time, day and night, in a space, heaven and earth, if you will. That's why heaven is called also Diyauch. Diyauch from root div, to shine. Heaven is shining. Interesting. Havyavat, carrying the Havya, the offering, Agni, Ajarach, who is never old, ever young. Chanohitach, Sri Aurobindo translates as beautifully, firmly founded in bliss. Hitach, founded, held, Chanach, Chanas is bliss, delight. Durlabhach. It's interesting. It's most probably Durlabhach, difficult to get. Or it could be Durdabhach. Durdabhach, difficult to suppress. So there are different translations for this word. I translate as invincible, difficult to suppress. Vishamatithich, the guest of the peoples. People's vish, we spoke about this, is from root vish, vishati, enters. Yeah? It is, from here we have Vaishya, Vaishya as a varna of people. And interesting why Vish is enter and people, because it is seen that we are all souls who came here down into this physical body, into this manifestation in time and space. The soul plunged, you know. So we all entered. We are all entering beings. As the souls, of course, not as the body. So that's why, who came down and entered into this manifestation. He is the rich of in light. Vibha Vasuch. Vasuch is light. Sorry, Vibha is light and Vasu is rich. Rich in light. Sri Aurobindo translates, with his riches of light. So he illumines two firmaments, heaven and earth, by his birth. When he is born, they are also born as father and mother. The father and mother is the product of his birth. They are his father and mother, his parents, or two mothers, but at the same time, they become father and mother. When he is born, he illumines them, Rochayat, Janusha, by his Janmana, by his birth. Rodasi Ubhe, both the firmaments. Interesting that these firmaments also, Rodasi is the word from root to shine, to be luminous. These are two luminous foundations, heaven and earth. Interestingly, because they, not only heaven is luminous, but earth is also a luminous foundation. This is something kind of to think of. Yeah? Most probably, physically it is so, because earth is warm. There is a core nuclear which is full of light and heat. It generates heat. It is not only receiving the heat of the sun, it also generates heat from within. It's a warm earth, living earth. Interesting. Huh? So the warmth comes from both sides. Sometimes I think they knew too much. Very gracious. All right, we can maybe stop here. And if you have some thoughts to share, please do.
I wanted to say, Vladimir, that from the beginning of our discussion, when you said word and meaning is, I was thinking of the mantra as the sacrifice. And so Agni being mantra, being sacrifice. And then in that in-between space, you talked about the three fires. And I was thinking about how mantra has the rhythm, has the word meaning, and then has the divine truth in it as being something that goes in between the two worlds.
Interesting. Yeah, you found three different forms or major characteristics of the word. Yeah. Amazingly, Sri Aurobindo describes that the fire is the energy of betterment or seeking to realize the divine in the form of the being. Yeah? And it needs the support of the heart, which is in between the worlds, yeah? Which rishis manifest as the word, as this mantra. So mantra takes the energy of the divine rising from below, forms it by the word, shapes it into a particular direction, meaningful direction, where it wants to go, into heaven. So only with the support of the mantra, the flame, the Agni, becomes the power charged with consciousness and intention, or the call, the aspiration to receive the connection from heaven. And then Indra comes as representative of the higher hemisphere, as a lightning, answering to the call. And when they join together, Indragni, or Agni is the son of Rudra, Shiva, rising from below, and Indra is the older brother of Vishnu, who is supporting him from above. And then they come and they join. But they can join only on the ground of the Vedic hymn. That expression of aspiration, and expression which will be later expressed as an intention coming from above. So this is an amazing topic in Kashmiri and Shaivism. You find it, where Abhinavagupta describes that every Pashyanti Vak, this intention which comes to us from the Sadashiva, from the Lord himself, for him Shiva is above, Shiva is everywhere. And it comes with the need and intention which we here express in our embodied state, and the flame within us. We are always calling for something, even if we don't really realize it. And the answer always comes to our calling. So we are building our life. We're calling and the answer comes. So this constant interaction, ongoing. We need something. I need something. What do I need? I need this. This is what I could express. But there's something which I cannot express. And that is that flame. That is the power which is pushing forward the whole evolution in every creature, whether he knows about it or not. He wants to go forward. He wants to grow in consciousness. Nobody wants to fall down. Everybody wants to move forward, to become better, to become more efficient, to survive, to develop, to enjoy. Everything is there, in general. And then, in particular, it has to be framed by the word, rising from the heart. And once it is framed by Brihaspati, so we have Shiva supporting the nature on his shoulders, and Agni is the flame which is seeking the divine realization in matter, in time and space. We have Brihaspati rising from the heart with his word, 7 tongues, 7 rays. Rishis are his sons, yes? Maruts are his forces. And then, once the intention or that aspiration is framed, the intention from above is answering. I call it intention from above. We had a dispute with several scholars. I had a dispute with several scholars on Pashyanti Vak. They believe that Pashyanti is rising from below. I believe it comes from above. Because of the Vedic texts. They didn't go through Vedic texts. They went through Kashmiri and Shaivism. And there it is believed that the whole Parapashyanti, the transcendental speeches in the Kundalini, hidden below Muladhara, rising from Muladhara. So this rising from Muladhara, because it is believed that the whole divine energy is in Muladhara, and when it opens up, then, so it is first comes as Pashyanti, and Madhyaman finally rising to and becomes Vaikhari. But I don't think so. Not at all. I think it comes from above, as the word is a lightning. intuition, aha moment. It doesn't rise from Kundalini, it comes from above. And then we find the kind of language for it. We are using language, grammar, word. We are dressing it into the sentences to express it to our surface consciousness.
Vladimir?
Yep.
Sorry, go ahead.
No? This dispute is not resolved, so it's staying there as it is.
I was also thinking that our very bodies and everything in our structures are also essentially intentions, aren't they? I mean, we are like intentions holding intentions, and everything around is an intention of some sort. We are all words. So, in a sense, everything is an expression.
Right.
Now,
there are several sources of the word. Yeah, one is rising from the heart. And Sri Aurobindo speaks about this in the Conversations with Pavitra. He says that, interesting, you notice that the word is rising from the heart, comes to the head, and then being formulated. So there's the word rising. There is also the word coming down from above. And you can find many references in Savitri. Yes? And he waited for the fiat of the word to arrive, to descend. There is a descending word from the spiritual source, the command, Adesh. Yeah? And there is also the word in the heart of our psychic being, psychic entity. If we listen closely, we will hear the speech of the word of our psychic, which suggests something, which tells you how to do things or what to do next. If we develop that and we follow, not as if we follow with discipline the suggestions from the heart, it will become stronger and stronger. And if we don't, then it will become weaker and weaker until we have no connection. So we have to develop this discipline to listen to our intuition, to what our heart says. Yeah? Not desires. Don't mix it with desires. Oh, my heart says so many things. Right? Let me go and get ice cream. What your heart desires. No, not that. That is a very weak, silent voice, not demanding. The psychic is never demanding. It is more aspiring. And there is no urgency there. It's in the vital. When you have urgency, that means it's a vital taking over. It must be done now, otherwise everything is going wrong. This is vital. But the psychic aspiration stays. It can withdraw behind the veil, can come forward. It is not exhausting or exhaustible. You can't really. Having it, you are happy to have it. That's what it is. You don't need to have a result out of it. Just to have the aspiration of the psychic is already fulfilling. All the desires are already fulfilled in this flame, wanting and loving the divine. If we really want and love the divine, we are fulfilled. You don't need more than that. That means the divine is already working in you. All right, I will stop here and close on the mantra for now. We will continue next time more intensely. Om Sarve Bhavantu Sukhinah Sarve Santu Niramaya, Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu, Ma Kaschit Dukkha Bhag Bhavet. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Adios.